The Dodgers take 3 days to remind Slime Diego who the hell runs this place. Jim Harbaugh has a chance to rebut the NCAA, and he's like, taxi! And a potential UCLA wide receiver has to go to court to try to get eligibility. Good morning. I'm James. And this is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos morning report. It is August 18, 2025. This is my last day in Portland, so I thought I would take a moment and enjoy the trees while we drop an update. I'm in a great mood. Something seems right about the world. I wonder what it is. It must have been at Chavez Ravine. Do you like being in the know about LA sports, by the way? Because if you do, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It lets you know when we drop an update. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. By all means, comment. Now, we're going to have an expanded look at the scoreboard today because the Dodgers swept Slime Diego after Sunday's 5-4 victory. The Pudres, they came into town with popped collars, wearing their Sunday best bandanas, and smelling like they had swum up here in an ocean of Axe body spray. They left LA with their asses spanked proper. But proper. They got swept, and the Dodgers regained their rightful place atop the NL West by 2 games with a magic number of 37. Mookie Betts' homer in the 8th broke a tie. And to continue on a tangent I've been screaming about for months, the Dodgers finally have started to let their starting pitchers go for more than 4 innings. Kinda helpful with that gas bullpen. Clayton Kershaw and Blake Snell each went 6 over the weekend. I would have preferred Tyler Glasnow go more than 5 Sunday, but baby steps. Dave Roberts said during this season that he thought the Dodgers had recently lost their focus, and he was considering how Slime Diego falsely believes that they're on LA's level, that this was the perfect time to regain that focus. Consider the focus acquired. Now look, I'm not here to tell you that the Dodgers could rubber stamp a repeat world title. But that weekend was the definition of the winner's edge. And you have to wonder after all of that incessant poop talking that comes from that dugout. Slime Diego, the poop talkingest, have-nothingest sports city in civilization. All this time, the people have debated, are the Dodgers the Pudres' daddy? Maybe the Pudres are little bro. I can tell you this much. I know the Dodgers ain't the Pudres' daddy because your dad would not let you out of the house wearing them ugly-ass uniforms. Now go back to Slime Diego, find a nearest Ross Dress for Less, and get a uniform that actually doesn't look like you threw up on yourself. Slime Diego, not in first place where they belong. Meanwhile, Washington beat down the Sparks 95-86. As for today, the Dodgers are at Colorado at 5:30. So what do you say we get back to the news? You know, it was around this time last year, Jim Harbaugh, the new Chargers coach, he issued the strongest denial that I may have ever heard. Stronger than President Clinton saying, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Harbaugh was asked if he had a role in a sign-stealing scandal over at Michigan, and it looked pretty compelling to ask that question. After all, he ran away from Ann Arbor like 5 minutes after winning the national championship. For Pete's sakes, he was like Heisenberg running away from his brother-in-law in the FDA, right? But the guy takes the Chargers gig, and then he declares, never lie, never cheat, never steal. I was raised with that lesson. I have raised my family on that lesson. I have preached that lesson to the teams that I have coached. No one is perfect. If you stumble, you apologize and you make it right. Today, I do not apologize. I did not participate, was not aware nor complicit in those said allegations. And then he ended it with this, not to sound self-important or anything. He ended it with, so it's back to work and attacking with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind. Are you in the Marvel universe or a football coach? But I digress. So, anyway, a couple of days ago, after the Wolverines program got mollywopped with a $30 million fine and 4 years probation, Harbaugh effectively, by the way, being banned from college football in the future, the scribes came back up to him and like, are you sure? And he's all... Now, technically, he said, quote, "I'm not engaging," unquote, which I guess translates to no comment. But again, just like his lawyer from a couple of days ago, this is not a denial. Last year was a denial. Now that the NCAA apparently has more proof than Lizzo can hang glide off of, I'm not saying he did it, I'm just saying it's evidence. I'm not saying the guy's a lousy coach. I'm not saying that I hope the Chargers lose. That's not my business, right? I'm saying it damn sure looks like he got caught with his dockers around his ankles in a major scandal. And you'd be fooling yourself if you think the NFL isn't going to watch this guy every step of the way. Now, for some marginally happier news about the Chargers, the scribes were super optimistic about the Bolts wide receivers from Saturday. Trey Harris caught 5 passes. Keandre Lambert-Smith also caught 2. But here's where you need to tap the brakes. Neither of them had a reception against New Orleans the week prior. Harris didn't even catch a pass in 2 previous preseason games. This is not to say that both of them are destined to be busts. That's not it at all. It's to say that they're rookies. They're going to have great points and low points. The variance is going to be very wide compared to a veteran. So let's not get too far over the skis. So we do have Charger notes to talk about. By the way, speaking of coaches who were uncharacteristically silent over the weekend, today is allegedly the day where Sean McVay will allegedly speak about whether Matthew Stafford allegedly worked out for the Rams on Saturday. Your guess is as good as mine as to what's going to come up with that one. But from my perspective, and I really, really hate to say this, because for 8 years plus, Sean McVay has been a really straight shooter. If you're skeptical about whatever they say, you're now justified. You are absolutely justified. Caden Robinson will hear his fate with UCLA football today. You may recall he transferred from Appalachian State. He was under the impression that he had 1 more year of eligibility, and the NCAA said no, and then everybody lawyered up. Now, without going into the legalese, the upshot is how the NCAA interprets eligibility when a player spends a year or 2 at junior college. Deshaun Foster said Robinson, who, by the way, would likely be a starter if the court gives him that extra year, Robinson is still training. Now, I will grant you, Appalachian State is nowhere near a Power 4 conference, but Robinson was an all-Sun Belt first-team selection. He played 9 games, finished with 840 yards and 53 receptions. The Bruins are going to need that guy. So if you're a UCLA backer, keep your fingers crossed. It was easy to believe a narrative that came from the Sparks. Once Cameron Brink comes back, she's going to provide a defensive presence that the team simply hadn't had all year long. The PR folks would then go to the social medias and they would just blast every blocked shot that Brink has had like she was Dikembe Mutombo. And it is true the Sparks have been playing better. They're on the periphery of the WNBA playoffs. There's 6 games left in the regular season for them. They're a half game out of the last spot. So I'm not trying to throw dirt and say bury these ladies. But what is true is the Sparks aren't playing any damn defense whatsoever. Brink, no Brink. That's why they're on the brink. See what I did there? They are last in the league in points allowed. They are second last in second chance points conceded, which means they're still not rebounding. They're 12th in points allowed off of turnovers, and it's a 13-team league, by the way. 12th in points allowed in the paint. Please note, a number of those stats that I just gave you, Brink plays a role in that. She's the one to defend in the paint. She's the one you would want to get any rebounds. So yeah, they've improved. They have won more games, but they don't play any defense. And if they qualify for the playoffs, or if they barely get in and they get mollywopped in the first round, that's your reason why. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Talk to me, for example. What was your moment of a glorious weekend over at the Ravine? For that matter, are you okay with Jim Harbaugh not being as stern in defending himself in a scandal anymore? And if you enjoyed this update, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We talk LA sports from coast to coast every single day. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Porcha El Queso production. Take care.